Meeting's called to order. City Clerk, for the council meeting
Okay, for the council meeting
and the Financing Authority.
and the Financing Authority. Council member, Authority member Christ.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Marcus. Vice Mayor, Vice Chairman Smith.
Here.
Mayor Chairman Paris.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'm now turning the meeting over to
Me.
I know, let it be Vice Mayor. It's not Vice Chairman.
It's going to be
Vice Mayor Smith
the Vice
for the Redevelopment Agency.
Yes, Madam Clerk, can we call...
Wait a minute. You're going to have to bear with us. It's the first time we did this. Okay. Actually, I'm going to recuse myself, turn it over to the Vice Mayor of the council meeting, and we might as well do the...
If you want to do that all at once, that's fine, before the invocation and everything?
Yeah, let's do it all before the invocation.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Then let the record reflect that I'm taking the gavel as the mayor and also as the chairman of the redevelopment agency at this time. And let the record reflect that the mayor is recusing himself and stepping out of the room. I'm now going to call the public meeting of the redevelopment agency to order. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call, please?
Agency Director Christ.
Present.
Mann.
Present.
Marcus. Vice Chairman Smith.
Here. On behalf of the council and the redevelopment agency and the finance agency, can I hear a motion to excuse Councilwoman Marcus from the meeting today?
So moved. Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? At this time, without objection, I'm going to move CA1 and CA2 to the front of the calendar, and this is as the city council meeting. CA1 is the appointment of a chair for the redevelopment agency. We have 2 speaker cards on that. Let me remind everybody that you're limited to 3 minutes. If you get off point on the item that we're actually discussing, I'm going to cut you off. When the green light comes on, your 3 minutes starts. Michael Reeves, please. That's late. Mr. Reeves.
I believe that the chair of the redevelopment agency should be elected after the redevelopment agency has full membership.
Thank you. David Quijada.
Appointing a chairman to the Lancaster Redevelopment Agency. I heard it's Kit Seto, I believe. That's her name.
That's the wrong item, Mr. Quijada. Would you like to speak on CA1?
CA1 Lancaster Redevelopment Agency Chair. Discussion of possible actions appointing chairman of Lancaster Redevelopment Agency.
That's correct. That's
Correct.
CA1. You're talking about CA2. It mentions Kitty Sato. So you'd like to go back?
Okay. Well, I would like for an election to happen, and hopefully somebody that doesn't work for RX Paris to be appointed. Maybe yourself. Maybe you should appoint yourself as the chair, and then her beneath you. What's the point of having a vice mayor?
David, you're talking about
I know.
CA2.
I am talking about CA2. Can't
Okay.
wait to talk about CA2.
Okay, well, why don't you have a seat, and I'm going to call
Okay.
CA2 in a minute then.
All right.
Thank
Sweet.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I am going to nominate Marvin Christ to handle the chair of the redevelopment agency, and I'll entertain any motions at this time or any discussion. I entertain a second. I made the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, call for a vote, please. Oh, you want to do that orally? I'll just call for an oral vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Did you vote too?
Yeah, we didn't hear anything, Marvin. You can vote for yourself.
You can abstain.
Or you can abstain.
You can vote for yourself. Okay. Now, unanimous. That's
Is there clarity there? Just so that
that
as
was
to the vote?
Mr. Chris, that was a affirmative vote, correct?
Can I vote for myself?
Well, you could vote for yourself, but we only need 2 votes.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
I'll
I didn't hear anything. Okay, that's two affirmative, 1 abstention. On CA2, discussion item on council agenda item, Marvin Christ, and then we have a couple of speaker cards.
I would like to nominate Kitty Zato to replace the former agency director Paris because she has been doing this job for the last 2 years. She's gone to China several times. She is an attorney, and I can't think of anyone more qualified than Kitty to do this. So I'd like to nominate Kitty Zato to replace Mayor Paris.
Do I hear a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have, there's got a ton of cards here and stuff, so they're all, what's M1 is the minutes for the city council meeting, and RM1 is the agency minutes? Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a scribble here on, who gave the card that has a scribble on it? Because I don't have a name and I can't read it. Who had the scribble on it? Nicole, come up. And just for the record, some people have put in cards for the reports. We are not going to take public comment on reports. Those are for information only, and there's no action on theirs. Okay, Nicole.
Hi, how you doing? What number are we in? On?
2, CA2.
CA2. Oh, the vacancy.
Okay, have a seat, Nicole. Michael Reeves.
I oppose the appointment of the deputy mayor to be on the redevelopment agency. And I'd like to review some of the facts right now. The mayor allegedly purchased some property within the redevelopment area, and there was a question about the legality of his being on the agency, so the mayor resigned from the redevelopment board. The mayor retains ownership of the disputed property. The mayor's business partners and wife are co-owners of property adjacent to the mayor's. The mayor's property in question was the property in question next to the mayor's was developed by the redevelopment agency. The mayor's employee, the deputy mayor, who was paid by the mayor, was involved in the real estate transaction on that redevelopment that's owned by the mayor's partners and his wife, adjacent to the property, which disqualified him from serving on the redevelopment agency. The mayor says that the deputy mayor will excuse herself from any transactions involving him, the mayor. She has already participated in a transaction involving the mayor. You can't go back and excuse yourself from something you've already done. Now, how do you think this looks to the public? We have the mayor's employee as deputy mayor, and now you're going to appoint her to be on the redevelopment commission, and he says that she will excuse herself from any actions that involve him when she's already been involved in this major transaction. In a time when we have to have accountability, transparency in government, I think this is a farce. And it would do well, this council, to reconsider appointing someone on another commission, past office holder, minister, or someone to represent the citizens of this community, not someone that is an employee of the mayor and has already participated in the redevelopment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Mr. Grajeda.
That was great. That was amazing. Okay. Kitty Seto, she works for the mayor. She works for his law firm. Okay. You're a very accomplished young lady. I've read your background.
Sir, you're speaking to us and
I
people in the
am
audience.
I am
No,
against
you
this.
speak to anybody else, You know,
Okay, well, here, let me address this. I am against this. I understand what you're trying to say.
You be quiet for a minute, or I'll
This
have
is
you
my
sit down.
time to speak,
No,
sir.
I'm running the meeting.
not
Be quiet
asking you a
now.
question.
Have him sit down. Take him out. If he's not going to be quiet, then
Exactly.
That's fine.
You can't give me my right time to speak. You can't give me my time to speak.
If you
You're
are
a
not
coward.
going to follow
Okay,
the
you understand
rules,
that? You're a
you're out.
coward. I have the right to
from the meeting, please.
public comment. I have the right to public comment. You understand that, sir? How dare you?
There you go. Thank you. Could you please take Nicole out if she's not going to be quiet and disturbing the meeting anymore? Ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman keeps on coming up here. He wants to talk to staff. He wants to talk to somebody in the audience. He wants to do this because he is trying to disturb the meeting, and this is your tax dollars at work right here. All the staff people are sitting here getting paid by us, the taxpayers, in order to conduct this meeting. If somebody's going to disturb the meeting and try to purposely disrupt it, they're going to be ejected. We are here to hear your comments. We want to hear what the people have to say. Mr. Reeves comes up here all the time. He speaks on a lot of items. We are glad to hear what he says. But if you come up here to purposely just try to disrupt the meeting, you will be ejected. So now, Ms. Christ, we have a motion and a second, and so I'll call for an oral vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? At this time, if Madam Clerk, if we could have Ms. Sato sworn in.
I, Kitty Zito, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Thank you.
Kitty, your first meeting and there's a riot. Go right there.
And just let the record reflect that the mayor has stepped back in the room, but it was after the action item. And at this time, I'm going to turn the gavel over to the new chairman of the agency, and that would be Mr. Councilman Christ.
Thank you, Ron. Do we have any speaker cards?
On the minutes.
Nicole? RM1?
Hi. Oh, hi, Mayor.
Hi.
I don't know, it just feels all better about the riot and my T-shirt and you being back because now we got the number one hillbilly back in his chair. Okay. RM1?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, this is redevelopment. So this is something I'm working on. Sort of, it got me to thinking about the 10, 20, 30. And I don't actually know how if you, well, it does not even really matter, but we are trying to talk about, well, it does matter because, okay, well, this part, it sort of goes into somewhere. I'm just now working on it, but I forgot maybe to turn it in or something. Okay, it's maybe called Rule 1, and violation, discrimination, quality, Act resolution, access to information and of free speech through governmental obtainment, which are hereby passed through authorization, approval acts, proclaiming resolution to levy ordainment, rule, and code, does unilaterally recognize objective and subjective benefit assessment derivatives under enviro, protection, quality, benefit, and justice, guideline, reporting, mitigation, and disposing, which here. Okay, let's skip to something better. Okay,
Nicole, we are talking about approving the minutes.
Oh, I thought you said RM1. Okay, which here within I will make it better, but this is just a blueprint. Here, okay, so my minute, you guys, just bear with me. Which here within make ordinary assessments of review, global warming, and climate change previously approved. Previously approved under the colonial circumference zone recognition. Review hearings of imposed sanctions solely afforded on given to elected national and state and or taxation thereof, involuntary mandate, mandatory voting, voted outcome assertions. An accountable, transparent, represented democratic opinion. Table item, agenda, memo, classification, question, quorum, order, and vote. Unfair, disenfranchised, embargo, triggered, response of, benefit report assessed, nuisance of.
Thank you, Nicole.
Let's take out the nuisance part.
Nicole.
Encroachment, enjoyment.
Nicole.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion for RM1?
As so stated. Excuse me, as so stated.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Let's vote.
Call for an oral vote. You have to do it orally.
Oral? Aye.
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 We have 3, 4, 1 abstention. We'll move to RCC1. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, I don't see any.
Do we have a motion?
So move to adopt RCC1 of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
Can we have a vote orally?
Okay.
Aye.
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 Unanimous, 4-0. And we're going to go to the M1. Okay.
You're going to close.
I'm going to close the agency and turn the, keep it open? Okay, I'll turn it back over to the mayor at this time.
Okay, thank you. It's going to take us a while, but we'll figure out a way to get this right eventually. Okay, we're now back at the regular city council meeting, and the invocation tonight is by Sanai Burhan from the Islamic Center of North Valley. Is she still here? Did they check in? Okay, so apparently we don't have anyone. If she shows up, somebody let me know. Okay. And Mr. Mann, you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance?
If everyone would stand, face the flag, put your hand over your heart, ready, begin.
We have some presentations tonight, and they'd be by City Manager Mark Bozigian first.
Mayor Paris, City Council members, Director Sato. There are some awards that you are given, and there's some that you really earn, and I'm here to talk about one that the city has really earned over the last 3 years. It's an award from the League of California Cities, the Healthy Eating and Active Living City designation. It's called the HEAL City. And the reason we were given this is some of the improvements that have been made over the last 3 years. Just to talk about a few, one of the major initiatives that's going on right now under the auspices of the Architectural and Design Committee is the master plan of trails and bikeways. That's been a big deal. It's engaged the community, and it's going to make us a healthier place. Some of the bike rides that we've had to introduce cycling to the community also went into the decision by the League of California Cities. The farmers market that we started, making affordable and easy for folks to buy vegetables and fruits and such. The neighborhood impact homes and the neighborhood wellness homes also went into that. All of those together have allowed us to be named a HEAL City by the League of California Cities, and it is my privilege to present this to Mayor Paris and the City Council.
Thank you. We also have Captain Johnson from the Sheriff's Department with certificates of recognition for the various deputies. We are now 38%. We've dropped crime 38%, more than any city our size anywhere. And these are some of the deputies that have been instrumental in doing that.
First of all, I'd like to thank the mayor, the council members, and Director Zato, and the city staff. Lancaster Station has definitely made some strides in crime reduction over the last several years, and a lot of it has to do with the hardworking men and women assigned to that station. The workload at Lancaster Station far exceeds any other station in the county, not only from the reports, calls for service, the amount of people that are arrested. It's just unequal. So it's a testament for all these men and women who take this job and conduct it so thoroughly and professionally. And what we're doing here tonight is commending several of them for the job they do, because they far exceeded the norm at Lancaster Station over the last 3 months. And so every quarter we give out Street Cop of the Quarter awards, recognition for those officers working the street that really perform at an extremely high level throughout that period. And so tonight I have 3 of those deputies here tonight that I'd like to have come up and be recognized for their efforts. And that's, do you have the 5 certificates? Well, we have 5, but 3 are for the street deputies, and it's professional staff. So we'll do this 3. And Jason Godecki is here, Jeremiah Eswine, and Veronica Ramirez. Then go ahead and stay here. And then we also recognize the investigator of the quarter. That's a detective, because we're talking about thousands of reports that come through the station. And the detectives have to take those, follow up the leads, lead to arrest, make arrest, and also just follow up on a lot of other things. So it's a tremendous workload. The caseload, again, exceeds other stations in the county. And this particular detective, quality all the time, does a tremendous job and is a huge asset for Lancaster Station, and that's Jeff Bishop. And the last award that we give out every quarter is really to the hardest working crew in the station, and that's our professional staff. Because for all the work that they do, somebody has to process that paperwork and keep things entered into the system. And that's how we get through our day-to-day job. And they are, without question, the hardest working individuals at the station. And this individual really is just an exceptional employee, a huge asset for Lancaster Station, extremely valuable, and I'd like to recognize Jolene Paez. So, you want to stand up? Let's go stand together.
We're going to send that to your mother, Kitty. Okay, moving on. Haven't done that. Okay. Okay. The consent calendars consist of items of routine business for which minimal or no discussion or special presentation is contemplated or required. These items may be acted upon as a whole with one motion, a second, and a single vote. If you desire to speak on an item or items on the consent calendar, you may fill out one speaker card for the consent calendar. You will be given 3 minutes to address your concerns before the agency or council takes action on the consent calendar. All speaker cards must be filled out and submitted prior to the consent calendar being called. This same rule applies if you wish to speak on other items on the agenda and non-agendized items at the end of the meeting. Following this process will allow us to conduct a timely and orderly meeting. And it'll keep the vice mayor from having anybody incarcerated. Okay, any items on the consent calendar to be removed? We got anything else? Not on the minutes yet, am I? Oh, there we go. We've got to do the minutes first. Nicole, do you really want to speak on the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Hurry up. Let's go.
I just got word of some information that'll probably just come out later. But you guys are just moving too fast, and like David said a couple of weeks ago, it's like freaking them out. You guys are just moving too fast, and I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to put it into words, and I mean, are you guys gonna move out like after you guys like are not board members anymore? Because we're gonna, I mean, the people that stay here are gonna have to live with what you guys do, and that's how we'll come. That I just don't know. And destroying like all the roster stuff. I mean, that's all the questionable stuff you guys did. I mean, that we're all questioning, or that me and Michael and David are questioning. And really, I think I came up with this is part of the word, like, no, I don't even know, because I mean, if I tell you guys something or try to do something like the reconciliation for advancement for all people, then you guys will just like, I don't know, are you guys going to take it?
This is on the minutes.
Yeah, I know. Everything's
Okay,
just,
the minutes. Whether or not the minutes reflect what happened at the last meeting. Do you have anything to say about that?
What happened at last meeting? Well, you know what? You guys, first of all, you guys need a Brown Act, something here, so we can know what we can do, and and we're part of the lights. We were supposed to have a bumper here. You guys are moving too fast, and I don't even think that you guys have the proper authorization, because if you guys take out 10, 20, 30, I mean, what are you going to do? Your background information that you guys are trying to destroy? I mean, what's your background, your justification? No public or social studies, reviews, reports, hearing, or background source references, no public or social justification, benefit assessment, no public or social architect, design, financial, economic, exclusion, inequity, debilitation, disadvancement, deprivation, degradation study, recommendation, or guideline. The minutes, and the minutes, you guys, you think that nobody has, I mean, it's conspiracy. Who asked you conspiracy? The way you guys put stuff together? I mean, what are you guys doing? Why don't you guys just stop? I mean, a big step would just to let me be a consultant, because, you know.
Thank you, Nicole. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second that.
Let's, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Passed unanimously. All right, moving on to the consent calendar. Is there any items to be removed from the consent calendar? None? Okay, we have speaker cards on the consent calendar from Nicole.
I yield for public good.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So move the consent calendar is currently comprised.
I'll second that.
Let's vote.
We're going to.
It's unanimous. Really? Okay. New business item 1. Any speaker cards? Okay, then we'll hear from Robert Neal.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I am recommending the establishment of speed limits on 18 street segments within the city of Lancaster based on engineering and traffic surveys that were conducted late last year and this year. The studies were performed for 3 reasons. Traffic surveys in certain of our road segments were about to expire. We have legal requirements that traffic surveys be current in order to enforce speed limits. Secondly, some road segments have been significantly altered in their road geometry or traffic controls and adjacent land uses. And thirdly, we have road segments where speed limits have not been officially established. I will show you the streets involved and explain their situations, but first I want to explain how speed limits are set. The California Vehicle Code regulates the way speed limits are established, revised, and retained. The Vehicle Code sets prima facie speed limits of 15 miles per hour for certain road segments, alleys, transversing intersection and grade crossings with limited visibility. And then the Vehicle Code sets a prima facie speed limit of 25 miles per hour for all other highways other than state highways, and with an exception around schools and senior centers, unless a local authority sets speed limits following procedures set by Vehicle Code. And I guess that's my point. We are required by law to set speed limits. We have time limits on them. We have conducted speed surveys to do that. Some of our speed surveys on some of these segments haven't been done since 2003. There's 18 road segments. 9 of them we are establishing official speed limits for the first time, and then there are 9 others that we're adjusting. Oh, well, actually 2 stay the same. 6 we're increasing the speed limits. because of the process that we are required to follow in setting speed limits. Basically, speed limits are set based on the speed that people travel. It's the 85th percentile of the speed is considered critical speed. So on this chart, it basically shows areas that we're proposing speed changes and the segments that we study. I could go into more detail, but at this point, I'm going to stop unless there's further questions. Our traffic engineer is here also. She would be happy to help me answer any questions you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. Richard Cook.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. In this proposed amendment, there's Section 6A, 7A, and Section 9B, if you want to refer to it at times. Section 6A gives a description of a part of J8 between 35th and 40th Street West. I don't know if the City Council has been down that lately, but J8 goes from 4 lanes to 3 lanes to 2 lanes right behind Westwind School. There are bike lanes on both sides of the street, and even though it is not an entrance to the school, 36th Street West is, and that's an egress right there. The street has many traffic and traffic stops during school times. My concern is that the recommendation on 9B is to make the street a 45-mile-an-hour street. Right now it's listed at 30. I'm recommending that it stay at 35, given a 5-mile-an-hour increase, only because of the traffic, but also because of the ingress problems on 36th, 37th, and Countrywide. I live off of Countrywide on a street called Chaparral Drive. I have to slow down to turn into Countryside because of it's a blind entrance. And if you pull in, there's a mailbox, community mailbox on one corner, kids and bicycles on the street, and you really have to slow down. Every time I pull into that street, I'm almost getting tailgated and hit. The street is too narrow for a 50-mile-an-hour street. And I say 50 because at 45, everyone drives 50 because there's that unknown law of you can go 5 miles over the speed limit.
I thought it was 10.
And that's my concern. I would recommend that 45 is fine. You get to 35th, put up signs that say 35 miles an hour. Another thing this solves is also when you get up to 40th Street West, which has been an intersection of major traffic accidents. And I do thank the city for putting in the money for a stoplight and also for the crosswalks, the flashing crosswalks, the automatic. That has really reduced the accidents. Hasn't completely eliminated them, but it's really reduced them. So I'm suggesting that between 35th and 40th, you raise the speed limit to 35 only, not 45. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Loftus. Did I pronounce that right?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of.
Well, I'm here to basically agree with the last speaker. I live near that area also, off of 32nd and J8. It was the area noted in green. Basically, there's a college that is right off of 32nd. Like the last gentleman said, that there's an elementary school less than a quarter of a mile up the road on J8, and then. Like he also said, there's Lancaster High north of J8. In the morning, I'd say around 8, a bit before 8, sometime around 9. That's one jammed area. Everyone's rushing around, going over the speed limits. I've seen overturned cars on J8. I've tried to walk my dog across the street. People, it's posted at 40, but no one does 40. It's a family area. Like I said, it's right by the college. A lot of walkers, and as it is, it's set at 40, and it's just way too fast. The people just move right along. But like I said, I'm in opposition of the increase of speed. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole?
I don't know. Hi, again. Why do I always do that? I don't know. Maybe it's nervous reaction. You know this. I don't know why I'm not. I don't know if you guys have, or I'm not saying that there's some type of ulterior motive. I don't know. And I was. Oh, I'm not going to give you the background on why I put in my speaker card for this. I'll just try to keep my speaking to this item. I don't know what R700 is. Is it residential? I really haven't gone over this report because it's hard to get information again still, and I don't go on the computer because it takes away from my life more right now. But I just know that I was thinking about the Montessori school, and which I don't know. You guys want a parking structure, and then there's the highway, like the highways monies. Are that we're not supposed to but right? Well, I guess the federal highway whatever allocation. And then so what is this? And so I think in the negative part of my head or whatever, I was like, oh well, just when I seen this item right now, I go, oh well, does that mean they have to change all the speed signs? And then I seen the berms anyways, Mr. McNeil, and they look cool. I think a berm would be like at the end of 15th West, maybe. 15th West at the end. Maybe we could try that. And then I was talking about the traffic with Sylvia, and so I was thinking, and then so like later this weekend, I came up with something for the Montessori school, which it looks really cool, and it all has to do with traffic, parking, speed, and all this, and I'd be, glad to do something more with this. I'll return on it. Do what you want. Of course you will. Sorry for taking your guys' time.
Thank you. I'm concerned about J8 also. So can we approve this without approving J8? I mean, what are the consequences of that?
You could approve it without approving J8. It would go beyond, presumably, the time when we can enforce it with radar. And you would then, you wouldn't be able to enforce it in that manner. The study itself did look at the 85th percentile. An alternative might be to approve it and look at that and then revisit it in a time certain, either at the council or somewhere else.
30 days sufficient to revisit?
Is that sufficient, Robert, knowing you're going to be gone? Could we have 45?
Okay, 45?
A trip.
Yes. Is that okay with everyone?
Oh, yeah. It's fine.
But it'll be on the agenda within 45 days?
Would you like it to go here first or some other?
No, I'd like the Architecture and Design Commission to look at it first.
They will have it within 40.
Because they're concerned about the bikes, that there is a bike trail on that. And I'm concerned about 30th and J8. I mean, my kids were in a wreck there. I've had a lot of clients in wrecks there. I mean, that is a bad intersection.
Mayor Paris?
At least anecdotally from my point of view.
We can have it to that commission within 45 days, and it won't change what people are driving now.
Okay.
Just allow it to be enforced.
Okay.
If I may ask a question, I clearly understand the state requirements for why we have to change and set speed limits. Cannot the council determine findings that would be adverse, that could, maybe I misinterpreted historically, that could cause us to reverse those findings and either keep the speed limits at their current level or reduce them even more? Am I correct in saying that?
Councilman Mann, we actually are looked at ways to reduce that speed limit because we know it's a concern. We made some findings because of the school being nearby, and we actually reduced that speed as set forth by the MUTCD. My suggestion is that what we start to do is look at traffic calming measures like road diets and stuff to design a reduced speed roadway to help us get people to drive slower, and then we can reduce the speed limits.
He wants another traffic circle.
We get a traffic circle at Jade and 30th.
Did I say traffic circle? I said road diets.
That's a new term for traffic circle, road diet? I didn't know that.
No, I said road diets would make a lot of sense.
All right. So I'd recommend we approve it, have it back in 45 days, and make a decision. Okay? And we're not going to be changing signs in the interim, right?
We'll make sure it takes us that long.
So the ordinance as is right now.
Yes.
I mean, I shouldn't say, we'll go back. Our intent would be, unless we have to, we would keep them up there, knowing the council's direction, the current speed signs.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we introduce ordinance number 969.
I'll second that.
Let's vote. Passes unanimously. Now I turn it back over to Chairman Christ, right?
No.
Not yet? Oh, no, I just have to recuse myself on this, right? Okay, great.
Okay, let the record reflect the mayor has recused himself, and now we are moving into NB2, new business. And so could I have, we have 2 speaker cards. Could we have a report, please?
This is a critically important item, and it deserves both a report and an explanation. So what I will do, in as quick as I can, go over the mechanics of the recommendation. Then I will talk about why it's important and what it means to Lancaster, and a brief summary of the lawsuit that we're involved with. The reason is the public really does need to understand how important this is and what the state is truly doing beyond redevelopment. First off, the mechanics. The resolution and ordinance is basically an intent of the City Council to pay the ransom payment to the state, which I will explain, to keep redevelopment alive. The payment would be $15.3 million in 2012. We're appealing that amount, believing it's excessive based even on the requirement or the way that it's calculated, and $3.6 million thereafter. That would essentially allow redevelopment agency in Lancaster continue. We will also come back at the next meeting with an enforceable obligation schedule, basically showing in the interim those payments that we could make, the obligations we've already incurred, and a remittance agreement to make the payments. We will also continue to do financial and opportunity analysis to identify not only the source of funds that we will make the payment with in 2012, but also the benefits and downside of making the payment. So that's sort of the nuts and bolts of what we're doing. Let me take a moment to explain AB 26. AB 26 is the legislation that eliminated redevelopment agencies. And I might mention that that legislation was passed by both houses of the legislature before it was in print or available for anyone to read, including the people who voted on it. So that will tell you how much thought went into it initially. It essentially said all 400 redevelopment agencies in the state of California cease to exist as of October 1st. You will give all of your money and your property, including public facilities, to the county auditor. Simplified, the county auditor will then cause those assets to be sold in a down market, mind you, and all of the proceeds from those assets will go to schools, county, and fire districts. And before anyone thinks they'll get more, The intent was for that money to go to those entities so the state could reduce its payment to those entities. You are also not allowed to enter any new or expanded contracts. And essentially what's not said, but what's really happened is that the state doesn't care about the thousands of construction jobs that were stopped immediately on June 29th when this was passed, and they don't care about the professionals up and down the state who have put their lives into making their communities better, and their jobs are threatened through no fault of their own. Then you come to AB 27, which says, but you can voluntarily continue to exist if you pay us the $15.3 million and the $3.6 million. And oh, by the way, we won't guarantee we're not going to kill you next year after we get the payment, and we won't guarantee we're not going to raise it, and we're not going to guarantee we're not going to continue to do something here. And then there's a poison pill in it. It says, and if you go and challenge this in court and are successful and win, you still lose because you can't do any new projects, because if you win, we're not going to allow you to do any debt to do new projects. So not the finest piece of legislation ever passed in the state of California. How did we get here? We have to acknowledge our part. While everyone up and down in redevelopment expected facts to carry the day, we didn't learn that facts don't carry the day. You get people's hearts and minds by telling your story. And there's other entities that have learned that. We've talked about the facts of redevelopment. Lancaster would not be what it is today, and neither would Palmdale or the Antelope Valley. Example, Lancaster, you wouldn't have a sheriff's station, fire station, you wouldn't have the boulevard, you wouldn't have clean and safer neighborhoods. You would not have a performing arts center, you would not have a fairgrounds, you would not have a museum, you would not have a baseball stadium, Clear Channel Stadium, you would not have some of the school facilities, including at AV High School as an example, the football field, and you would not have a business park with the 4,000 people. Okay? That's a pretty bad deal for not having redevelopment, but that's not what carries the day. What we should have done is talk and shown people who live in safe neighborhoods now that used to live in crime-infested neighborhoods. We should have shown what the good work of housing, the houses and the slum that was across from Antelope Valley Hospital that now is no longer a crime magnet. What we should have shown is the person who works at Lance Campers and supports his or her family, and that job and the other 200 or 300 Lance Campers would be in Indiana except for redevelopment. But it's too late to do that now. Why did the state do this? Because they can. They pass the buck. We continue as a city to cut costs, to cut staffing, and provide even more services. The state has not cut costs. They have cut services. You can check their budget. You can check everything. They have cut hours of operation. They've closed facilities. They've passed on costs. As a parent of someone who is going to the UC system, what my daughter pays in tuition now and what she paid 2 years ago are completely different. They exclude students whose parents pay for the universities in favor of out-of-country students who pay more. They dump prisoners on our community, and they take public safety money. Okay? And then they call this making the hard choices. That is laughable. Our state has failed us. And why do they do it? Because they're basically being a bully. They can. History has proven that you don't appease bullies. Appeasement has never worked. What you need to do is fight. And I'm sad to say we all stand on the sidelines. A couple of years ago when schools were getting hammered, you didn't see counties and cities rising up and saying this is wrong. We sat back and said, wow, I'm glad it's them. This year, you didn't see the schools, you didn't see firefighters standing up and saying that's wrong to do that to cities. It was, wow, I'm glad it's them. The legislators whose cities told them this will hurt your community and cost jobs, and their legislators went in and voted to kill these jobs. Those same legislators are doing ribbon cuttings right now at those very city councils in front of facilities like nothing's ever happened, because we continue to act and appease. Why this is so important is local government and local control depend on stability. If we lose this lawsuit, local government and local control are in danger. Very simply what this lawsuit says is the state is saying, we created redevelopment in the 1940s and 50s so we can kill it. They don't mention that by doing this act, even if it's legal, there are 8 other unconstitutional acts that in that 70-year time frame, the people have again and again said, We do not want you to take local money, most recently Prop 22, and we believe in redevelopment. We are right on this issue, but we have to win, and that's why it's important. So while we are recommending to you to make these payments because we think redevelopment is so important, what we really are working on is to win this lawsuit, to protect local government and protect something that's been as valuable as any single entity in the city of Lancaster in our history since 1977. Apologize for the length of the presentation and being emotional. This is very, very important. We as city staff, and I speak for all of us, have been wrestling with this since the day it happened. I know council has too. And it's not a crisis. It's something that was foisted upon us. It's something by people who didn't want to do their job, so they're putting us in this position. And anyone who thinks it's different, that's wrong. So apologize for the length of the presentation and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Bazzigan at this time? Okay, thank you. We have 2 speaker cards. Michael Reeves.
Council, on June 28th, the council allocated $15,000 that could be increased to $20,000 to join in the legal action by the California Redevelopment Association of the League of California Cities against the state. The League says that Proposition 22 prohibits state raids on local funds. That is in court right now. Point 2. If the money is not paid, and it's $15.3 million, that's about $10,000 per resident of Lancaster, and it's about $2,000 a year, the redevelopment agencies in the state won't cease to exist. City council members will be replaced by a 7-member oversight agency to administer existing bonds and controlling debt already incurred by the agencies. However, there's some issues to be discussed about this. Does this mean that monies from existing bonds can be used? And also, by choosing the oversight option, having the 7-member people that aren't council members, can the monies not used by the redevelopment agencies for debt service be turned over, will they be turned over to the state? And I guess according to the city manager, the state gets it all. I don't know the power of the oversight committee. I don't know if there's angles that we could use to use the money that's going to be used for debt services, or do we have to return any of the money? Before we submit to blackmail and give this money to the state, $10,000 a person and $2,000 a year forever, I suggest that we see what options are available under the 7-member oversight committee and see if there's any angles in that committee that we can use and not have to turn over this money to the state. It's just a travesty. You know, the redevelopment agencies have done some good in this city and downtown and other areas. So before we pay the money, let's see what powers we have under the oversight committee, and so we don't submit to blackmail. Thank you.
Okay, Nicole. Now, Nicole, I noticed that you don't have a card in for non-agendized items. Do you want me to put this card with the non-agendized so you can talk whatever you want, or because I'm going to make you stay on point on this particular item? So
You can put that card in it, yeah, but I don't know what card it is. That's fine.
no, I mean, do you want to speak now on this? I'm going to make you stick to the point.
Oh, you mean because it's like
This is
like
not. Yeah, this
a
you have to
pill?
stay on this.
It's like a pill, and
No,
like
go ahead.
how come I
This is on the
I said like the
redevelopment
mayor was the
agency.
hillbilly, and
This
then
is-
because others laugh, they laugh at you guys, they laugh with you guys, and then they see us and they're laughing at us.
Nicole, do you have any comments before we
Yeah.
vote on NB2?
That's it, sir. Well, school fire and the county. Well, I'm sorry, and maybe you guys forgot to include this one to justify everything. That's what I was just saying. Well, how about AVPH? When you guys, when it was just reauthorized along with the sanitation and the levying district.
That has nothing to do with the redevelopment agency
Sir,
right now.
it does because
No, it doesn't.
it has to do with the California, but it's okay. I'm sure, you know, if
You
you
need
want
to
to
vote on
listen.
NB2, so do you have a
What
comment?
is NB2? The redevelopment? In the state of California, right? That's what I'm talking about. You guys didn't notice that the financial structure and formulation is like really here in Lancaster or California only? Really? Okay. There was something that's called the Band of Davids and Mary and like Mary and Sue and Band of Davids. That would be David. Oh, the Band of David,
That has
Michael.
nothing to do with what we're gonna
Yes,
vote
it
on.
does. Oh, yeah, it does because the redevelopment is the reason that you guys are in this mess is because you guys didn't justify right. You guys left out some part, and it's a pill that you guys are now taking your own medicine. And then, but it's the Band of Davids, Mary, Sue, and Michael, and that's David, Paul, David. You know the three Davids, Michael, Sue. And it's
20
economic
seconds, Nicole.
justice and living conditions, denial, equal opportunity, of resource, and or standards, home living, fair treatment, justice exams. That's what we do, and that's okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay.
Okay, at this time, I'll open it up for discussion or entertain any motions on adoption resolution number 11-61 and number 70.
I'm totally out of order, and I recognize that, but I sure would like to put a question to you all, if I may do that.
Go ahead, Henry.
I just want to know, have you all covered this with League of Cities? Is League of Cities?
Yeah,
You've already done that.
we've been covering this
They support
every
you.
which way, yes. League of Cities is behind all of the CRA. It's all together, and they're all fighting it as best they can.
Okay. I have not been keeping up on this item, and I'm so sorry I haven't. What can the citizens and us do in your discussion, if you could kind of cover that for us? What can we do? What can I do? What
Call
can
your legislators.
we together? Call my legislator?
Yeah, in our situation, our legislators are supportive of the redevelopment agency.
You in particular, excuse me, Mr. Vice Mayor.
No, go ahead.
You in particular have more context than any person I know. So calling of both parties and people you know,
I
and
can do
using
that.
that and having people realize the stories and the people are employed because of redevelopment.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I do want to make sure for the record that everybody understands publicly that both the senator as well as assemblyman is fully supportive of the movements that this city is taking in relationship to trying to protect the redevelopment agency. And I hope what everybody understands that this is a legal move on our part to protect what we have in place. So all the whether it be the library or the police station or the downtown, again, we wouldn't have had those things had we not had the redevelopment agency. So I don't want anybody to think that this is anything but that. And I want to acknowledge the staff, both the city attorney and Mr. Bozigan and the city staff for taking the time to spend. Because I tell you what, if you saw my email box in the last, just in the last 2 or 3 weeks, has nothing been but filling us of information of exactly the steps to protect this agency. So thank you again.
Any other comments on that?
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 1161.
You want to do both of them together? You can do both together, right?
Can we do those concurrently?
Because it's all city council elections. Or do you want them separate, David?
If we're going to do a roll call vote, I'm okay if you do them together, but you do need 3 affirmative votes on the ordinance.
And introduce ordinance number 970.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we'll call for a vote. Okay, that's 3. Now we'll ask the mayor to come back in the room. Councilman. And now I'll turn the gavel back over to the mayor.
Any public disturbances while I was gone, or?
Nothing new.
It's okay, my wife's going to yell at me for that when I get home. Where are we at?
We're on my report of the sanitation.
CR1.
Okay.
Staff has submitted a report on the sanitation district. If there's any questions, you can contact me, but things are going along smoothly. We're doing, Councilman Mann is very involved in making sure that the restaurants are studied properly, that they have paid their fair share and only their fair share, and we're looking at other ways that we can keep the budget down. So that's it so far.
Thank you. Lancaster Financing Authority, no action. City Manager, any announcements?
Two quick announcements. If the public will go to the website, we have several events towards the end of this week dealing with our master plan of trails and bikeways to get input with the Architectural and Design Commission. And this Thursday, we have the opening of the new cinema on the boulevard as a charity event, and then it'll be open to the public on Friday, and it's spectacular, and we hope everyone has the opportunity to see it.
What's the movie?
Something called The Trip, which has, well, I won't say.
That was laced with that.
Takes me back in time.
So does The Trip.
Okay, City Clerk?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for anyone who would like to address the City Council on non-agendized matters to fill out a speaker card. You'll find speaker cards at the back of the council chambers. We respectfully request that you fill the cards out completely and print as clearly as possible so that if necessary, the council, city manager, or city staff will be able to contact you. As much as we appreciate your request to make comments before your 3 minutes begin, please understand your time begins when your name is announced. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. When you approach the podium, you'll see 3 lights. The green light comes on when your time begins, the yellow light comes on when you have 30 seconds left, and the red light comes on when your time is up. We ask that you be considerate of the allotted time to allow other speakers to have their 3 minutes as well. Following this procedure will allow for a smooth and timely process for the meeting, and we do appreciate your cooperation. State law prohibits the City Council from taking action on items not on the agenda, and your matter will be referred to the City Manager. Thank you.
Darlene Peterson? Good evening, Darlene.
Good evening. For you, maybe. We'll see. This may be a moot point, but I don't think so. I'm going to take issue with the amount of past declaration that a speaker's time begins when their name was called. We are each entitled to 3 minutes of speaking, not 3 minutes of walking and speaking. To attempt to discourage some citizens from taking part in the public meeting process is an insult to the democratic process. Of course, we may annoy you, but keep in mind, a lot of times you annoy us. We, the people that you're elected to represent, you too. Yes, you too. I don't want to leave anybody out. I have equal contempt for everybody. So that's the way it is. I dare say that a few extra seconds of your time saved is not more valuable than a citizen's right to ask questions or express themselves. I may not always agree with the speaker, but I support their right to speak and a full 3 minutes to do it. If those few extra minutes used up give you pains anywhere at all, I'll furnish you with some aspirins. I think it's money well spent considering how, with the flip of a finger, you spend a lot of money, which isn't even discussed here. Also, I condemn, especially you, Mr. Vice Mayor, for the shabby treatment given to that young man named David. It was uncalled for. He is trying to understand and learn the political process, and it behooves this council to help him, not hinder him. With some assistance from you, he may well someday be as perfect as you are. Show some understanding. Thank you. Do I have any time left? Well, I've got lots I can still say.
Thank you, Darlene. David Paul.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, and Director Zudo, good evening. It's been a funny week. I've been watching the stock market go up and down the last couple days. There's so many things that are going on. When you were talking about the traffic, I was thinking about the speed limit on my street is 25, and Mayor, you're right, the general consensus is you get 10 over. So by the time you're going 35, you're almost 40% over the speed limit. And that never made sense to me. Traffic enforcement is limited, and but that 85 percentile thing, that has always confused me, because if there's a posted speed limit sign and 85% of the people are breaking the law and speeding, why would you consider that the new valid speed? There's something wrong with that process. We shoot ourselves in the foot more often than we help ourselves. But that's why I was so interested in the Flourish book, because positive psychology, helping yourself, finding something inside of yourself that makes sense and grounds you and fills you with purpose, that's the only thing that'll save us. It seems like we're not going to have people willingly come together and participate. People want to fight, and we saw tonight that when you fight, you get the attention. And now here we as a city have to fight the state. That's something that probably people never thought would happen. So these are rough times, but I appreciate us all sticking together. That's our only hope. And tonight, before I leave, I wanted to talk about the Navy SEALs that died this weekend. And we have to remember there was U.S. Army and Air Force also represented, and it's a tragedy. And you hate to see things like that happen. But God bless us, God bless America, and let's stick together. That's what I'd like to see.
Thank you. Ms. Gutierrez? Hi.
Lancaster City Council. I come to you as a concerned citizen. I've seen the sheriff turn homeless into a market for quota, not performance. First we were told, go to another county, but then here we were told to go to court. I don't get that one, okay? In other words, let's say I'm here and then they ticket me, okay? I got to stay for that court hearing, or else I get, you know what I'm saying, or else I get, taken in. Can I ask you about that? No, that's the main thing I want to talk about.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, I came from South Carolina, I came back home here, and I have to live in the street for a while. Just so you know, the shelter was found guilty as they were discriminating my seizures. HUD gave me $1,500. Thank you. See, I can do what you do too. But anyways, Mayor, the point is, if the deputies tell us, why don't you try to go to Kern County? Why don't you try to go to somewhere else to go live? If I go somewhere else to live and then they ticket me for, let's say, sleeping in a bush, well, I don't get it. You want me to leave, but then here you're going to keep me here, and if I don't show up in your court, do you see what I'm trying to say here?
I do.
Is there a way that here you can tell the homeless what they can and cannot do, specifically?
Well, the homeless, like anyone else, have to follow the law. I mean, there isn't any difference.
Okay, now the deputies, the very nice deputies that just got their awards and stuff like that, they're not as nice as they seem. I'm going to tell you that. And they hear, but then everybody here looks at the city and they say, and they take it out on you, which they should not. Okay, I know that here they come here in their dress belts and all that stuff. I was the sheriff explorer in '84. And I do know that here there's, let me see, the ombudsman, the paper there in the office, I'm sorry, the lobby. The one in the English, that one is taken down. The one in the Spanish is left up. We're supposed to get that information. And I don't know if people know this, but here everybody is allowed, everyone who goes to the sheriff's station is allowed to appeal any decision that the sheriff make. any decision. And then here, the people should know the procedure. Let's say I'm not happy with this. Okay, what is the procedure I must take? Like, does anybody know that Monterey Park is the headquarters? They do not. And, oh, sorry. You see what I'm trying to say here? As a citizen, I have the right to do a procedure, not voice out and like, see what I'm saying? So what can you do so that people do things right, so we don't act out and get in trouble, so that here there's a procedure for us to do according to the city, so that here, let's say, okay, I can't sleep in a bush. A bush is not habitation, you know what I'm trying to say? So how can it be a tent? How can I be camping in a bush? The bush is provided by the city.
I understand I understand that people get upset sometimes about how aggressive our sheriff's department is.
Thank you.
We were inundated with crime just a few years ago. I want them aggressive. I think it is more important. I think it is more important that people be able to walk the city streets without being afraid than it is sometimes that our sheriff's department could be a little more polite than sometimes I think they could be.
A child used to wave
Let
to
me
another
finish.
like this.
Let me finish. I want you to understand this. I do want them aggressive. Until this crime problem is behind us, then we'll start working on how polite they should be. Now, admittedly, sometimes aggression appears to be inappropriate. But that's not a decision we get to make. They're the ones risking their lives out there, not us. It's a balancing test that is oftentimes out of balance, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I will support the deputies until we are absolutely safe in this community. Once we reach that point, then we'll start working on being more polite to everyone, even bad guys. All right?
One comment. Can they break out of the cycle of abuse that was given to them in the academy?
I think that we are blessed with an exceptionally professional department, but I also understand, having been on various activities with them, how their professionalism can sometimes be misinterpreted as rudeness. Sometimes I thought they were being unnecessarily rude. But I'm not the one having to worry about getting killed out there. They are. And they have to be in control of every situation. It's a tough job. And they're not going to hear the mayor telling them to be softer, because I don't want them softer. I want this community safe. Okay? I know that's not what you want to hear, but that's the reality of it. All right?
You care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Blair Brooks.
I've been really enjoying the boulevard. I've came back to it, and years ago there was a lot of riffraff. Now there isn't, and I really do enjoy it. With the farmers market, all the stores, and I've been seeing you guys down there as well, which is good. Okay, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Reeves.
Council, Mr. Mayor, I have a handout, two handouts that they'll be giving you. One of them is about a pet ordinance. Mr. Mayor, you and I spoke briefly once about the time that the council has spent on animals matters. For example, the horse and horse carriage thing, we spent about 6 or 7 hours on the council talking about that. I think the city can be more proactive in animal control issues, and I think that a way to begin that would be to have an ordinance that prohibits the sale of pets like dogs and cats in the city. There is a proposed ordinance in San Francisco to do that, and there's also one, I believe, in effect in South Lake Tahoe. Now, if we're going to control animals, we got to control the flow, and I think this would be a humane way to stop the flow of animals in the city. If someone wants a pet, they can go to the animal shelter, and I guarantee you, we have 2 of them in town. They can find any kind of animal they want. I've worked there for 6 months, so I couldn't stand it anymore because it's so disheartening. They can find any kind of animal there. It's not necessary for us to sell animals in the city, cats and dogs especially. Another handout I have for you is the shakeout that's going to be held on October 20th throughout California. And that's like an earthquake drill. Now, I went on the internet, looked at the cities. Lancaster is not listed as one of the cities participating in it. They say that on the internet they have 6 million people that are going to participate in it. Lancaster is not mentioned. Los Angeles County is mentioned, but that doesn't do us any good. We need to be proactive. On October 20th, 10:20 a.m., millions of people will participate in the 2011 Great California Shakeout. I'd like the city of Lancaster to, I'm sorry, staff, I know that means more work for you, but I would like us to participate and be ready. I wanted to speak about this last time, and I didn't because I didn't want to wear out my welcome. Then we had the derailment, but disaster preparedness is extremely important, particularly since our friends to the south are going to build a power plant with natural gas lines coming into the city. We need to think about disaster preparedness, and I hope we prepare by participating October 20th in the Great American Shake. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Gregory.
Thank you. I think the boulevard is wonderful. What I want to address is pedestrian traffic and the speed limit. On 3 separate occasions, I've tried to cross, I live in the neighborhood, tried to cross the street, and people are barreling by me well above the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, and we could use a little help. I mean, I read that thing in the Outlook about please be nice to the pedestrians. We need a little help. Additionally, people are driving too fast. They're just paying no attention at all to the speed limit, and that's disconcerting. And I wonder if possibly, because people get so huffy about trying to get across the street, you know, if you're driving and you want to make a turn, and they have to wait there, and they don't have the right of way, and they get all hot under the collar, is it possible that there could be one traffic light perpendicular? Just one, so that if people want to get across, they don't get all huffy, and then they don't try to run people down.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just a thought.
You know, aren't we going to put some of those flashing stop signs there?
We are reevaluating. I don't know what the particular mechanism will be, but we want to get it under our belt, see what's happened, and then reevaluate it.
We recognize the issue, and we're going to be working on it. You know, a traffic light is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, so if we're going to do it some other way, we'll try that first.
And the one other suggestion I would make on the people doing the perpendicular, maybe you could put something in that place where they come into to wait, that they don't have the right of way over the people who are going east and west on Lancaster Boulevard. There's some chicken being played there, and I don't like to be one of the chickens.
I understand.
Thank you.
We'll work on it. Okay. Thank you. Lyle Talbot.
I went to your national night out a week ago tonight, and I had good intentions. I wanted to spread the message about the power plant to the people in East Lancaster, because it was in the park in East Lancaster, about this power plant Palmdale proposing. And also had another message, safe night out. My sign says, is it safe for Dave Aber to go back to the 24-hour gym? Rex Paris, are you listening? But you know what happened to me that night? I felt safe when I got there, but I was soon accosted. I was abused. I was harassed. I was threatened with jail. And it was witnessed by some of your staff. And the perpetrator, as far as I'm concerned, was your public safety officer. He didn't want me to display this sign about our wonderful mayor. I took that as senior abuse, and verbal abuse, and I'm really disgusted. But I won't waste more time.
Thank you.
But I will see the Crime Commission and Justice Commission tomorrow, and I'll explain it further to them. Thank you very much.
David Aber?
Good evening. With respect to the redevelopment shuffling, I've contacted Sacramento, and I think it's time for the redevelopment agency to be audited and get to the bottom of what's going on here. I hear time and time again you, the mayor, preach about safe city and how crime's going down. Well, maybe when the mayor's held accountable for the crime he committed and confessed to on September 28, 2010 at the 24-Hour Fitness Gym, when he attacked me, we will really begin to make an impact on crime in Lancaster. You know, the citizens would like to know, maybe you can explain to the citizens and myself why you commend everybody for crime going down when you attack the citizens physically. Maybe you can explain why you attacked me that day. With respect to that, and the redevelopment agency problems that we face, you know, I do want to commend you for resigning from the redevelopment agency, and possibly if you resign as mayor, then we would really be taking a step forward in this city to become a great city like you profess. Finally, in today's paper, I'd like to commend Roger John Diamond for protecting the citizens' rights to First Amendment with his appeal being filed. I noticed that the mayor made statements in the paper that if this case does make it to the Supreme Court, if it makes it through the 9th District, which it won't, because I'm sure the 9th District will stand up and hold the citizens' rights where they need to be held with the First Amendment. If, in fact, it did come to a situation where the mayor could argue in the Supreme Court, he would have to resign because he's a party with respect to this lawsuit. So, you know, do us all a favor, and you've taken a step forward. You resigned from the redevelopment agency, now resign as mayor. Maybe Mr. Chris or somebody, we can appoint somebody, because you guys have now put into place the ability to appoint the vacancies on the council here, and this city can begin to heal from the wounds you've caused it. You attack the citizens, you talk about making this a safe city. Well, you're the biggest bully and the most dangerous person this city has. Thank you.
Well, let me consider that. No, I don't think I will. Moving on. Any announcements from the council?
I'd like to welcome Kitty.
We wish it had been more civil, but nonetheless, thank you for accepting the position. We don't have a closed session today, right? All right. Okay, we are adjourned until Tuesday, August 23rd.
Remind them about the fair starting.
When does it start?
August 19th.
August 19th, the fair starts? 10 days away?
Yeah.
That's exciting. Good. We'll see you all at the fair. And then we'll see you at the meeting on Tuesday, August 23rd at 5 p.m. We're adjourned until then.
Sorry, I forgot.